Wow, Gary, you suddenly got taller and hotter and smarter.
Can't argue that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I kid. If you're purely listening as a audio medium, that is Dalen Cuff, not Gary Streisky, who's hanging out with me here in Austin from the set of the Elle Duncan show. But if you turn the pillows around, it'll become just any arbitrary ESPN show.
Why tell anybody that? Well, nobody's got to know about it.
Yeah, I mean, listen. When we kind of conceived this, it was going to be the Elle Duncan show coming to you from another Formula One race. We did this back in May down in Miami. Mm-hmm. And then, because this is the Texas takeover, everyone decided to quite literally take over my Texas set. So you'll see SportsCenter from here and every other show that's coming from ESPN, and it's fine because we love sharing. It's good.
Yeah, it seems like it's going really well. You have mugs, too. I mean, what else do you need branded right now?
I know, 100%.
Because my name's not on a damn thing. I'll tell you that much. It's got to feel
There's
good.
like no, you see how I, look at me taking a sip from the mug.
I feel so happy to be here with somebody else's name on a pillow.
I know.
I feel proud.
You're just helping my brand. Thank you so much, Dalen.
Yeah, I'm dragging you down. What are you talking about?
No way. Gary, by the way, still in Vienna. I know. I had to do a podcast by myself.
When you say still, how long has he been in Vienna?
He's been
it's
there
across
for a
the
while.
world, so he should spend some time there.
He's 100% been there for a while, it feels like, in Gary years longer. His sister is getting married. I hope that goes well for him. But he's having a little bit of FOMO, and I can understand why. Dalen, it is so litty here in Austin. I just finished my hot lap.
Yeah.
And I got to do it with Max Verstappen. Humble
Just
brag.
a 3-time world champion. No big deal.
That's it.
No big deal.
NBD. I did a hot lap in Miami. It was super cool, but I'd certainly never done one with Max, and I got to be honest. I poked the bear a little bit. We go around the first round, like the first time around the circuit. We're talking, we're chatting. He keeps like being polite and looking at me while I ask him questions. And I was like, but also you can look at the road.
Yeah.
And so, he was like, not that bad. You want to go around again? And I was like, yeah, that wasn't bad at all. He's like, well, that's because I'm not really going crazy. And so, of course, I was like, then go crazy, Max Verstappen.
Absolutely.
And let's just say he went crazy, and my stomach is still paying for it.
Did you feel? Yeah. Okay, how fast do you think you went?
I think we were up in the 160s, but to me, it's like it's the braking.
Yeah.
It's the like you get up there and you're like woo, and then all of a sudden it's like and there's a ton of turns here, and so it was. You like all my jargon that I'm using. I'm clearly.
You sound like you're legit right now. I thought you said I didn't hear Apex in there.
Second. Yeah.
We had a lockup.
Yeah, we had a lockup at the Apex.
There you go. Well, you definitely don't want that.
How did you get into Formula One? You're a basketball guy.
I am. I don't like to be put in a box, Elle.
I love that.
Basketball, football.
Layers.
I guess we'll just mention Netflix. In the show, like 99% of Americans, I started watching Drive to Survive, got locked in, became a Max fan before he won his first world championship. And then as he won more, he's been less pleasant, I'd say, to some people. Lovely to you, maybe. But I was just like, I like his Darth Vader-ishness that keeps coming out. He's
so
a little
leans into
he's a little
that?
Evil Empire, I feel like. He's the man.
You think he leans into that a little bit?
Like, he's prickly. Don't mess with him. I mean, Lando learned that in Austria. He got elbows out in the corner, and Lando ends up not finishing the race. Like, that's how he runs.
Yeah.
So I like that he's leaned into that, and he just is who he is, and he's the baddest driver on the planet.
Do you also like that, I think this particular year, and again, we're talking to probably some novice Formula One fans.
Maybe.
I don't want to assume.
We want some converts, though. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't want to assume my audience, and we are, by the way, going to get to the WNBA. We've got Holly Rowe, and we've got a super special guest. All I'm going to say is sometimes he's in the kitchen, and his wrist is twisted like it's stir fry. Okay, fine. Quavo's here. Yay! And that's coming.
You lost me. I'm so slow. Wait,
but for those,
I'm supposed to know who's on the show.
Yeah, you're like, who did we just talk to? But for the novice sort of F1 person, because this is of course a sport that's growing and that's the goal. It felt like for a long time, at least the last couple of years, it's like, I mean, F1 is cool, but we already know the outcome. Yeah. Max Verstappen's going to win every single time. He's now won 8 races now without a win, which is the longest in his career. You think that's actually good for the sport?
100%. Last year, like as much as I liked Max, I'm like, let's lose a race here, buddy. Let's make this a little more interesting. Now, for those of us that like to wager, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a profitable couple of years too.
Yeah.
You can do head-to-head with different drivers. Who drops out first? Sorry, Logan Sargent. If you that's the only American that was on the grid. He's no longer with the team. But if you had him to not qualify in races, you were just getting paid out.
Yeah.
My man was struggling. But it's better, way better for the sport. We've had 5 guys win 2 races this year. That hasn't happened in like 50 years. We've had 7 drivers win a race. That hasn't happened since 2012. Every week, there are 4 teams that can win it. It's Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, and then, of course, Red Bull. It's just been way more compelling to have have a little race at first, and then all these other battles going on throughout the grid, which just didn't happen last year. It was Max off by himself. Simply lovely is I love his catchphrase. After he won by 20 seconds, he'd be like, it was simply lovely drive, simply lovely.
Simply lovely.
Yeah, not anymore. He's grinding and he's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, and he's struggling, but he's still up by like 50 points over Lando Norris.
This is weird for like America. He's got the lead, but that lead keeps getting chipped away back by Lando Norris, and Lando could catch him. There's 34 points on offer here because you have the sprint race, you have the obviously the Grand Prix, as you were saying, the Grand Prix. And then fastest lap. So 34 points are available. So this could be another big swing. There's 6 races left. It's going to be a race to the very end in Abu Dhabi.
What I am discovering that I love too about Formula One specifically is that like someone like Max, who is in this sort of drought, right? Like he 100% gets to blame his car and not himself. It's great. Yeah. It's like you don't have to take any accountability at all. It's excellent. He's just like, and everyone knows it. They're like, it's clearly not you. You're the best. Clearly your car is shite.
But it's also the only sport in the world where a machine can determine the outcome, where you're literally at the mercy of this machine to be like, well, if it's not performing the way you guys want it to or the way it's supposed to, I'm kind of host here. I'm doing the best. He's squeezing. He finished second in the last race. He squeezed the most out of that car. Like that was a great second-place drive, which it's weird for him because it's antithetical for him to appreciate that. But he has to at this point in time because he's trying to hold on to be a 4-time world champ. And he's even admitted, I think, in some like conversations this week, he's been told by Red Bull that they don't think he's going to win another race. Because that car is just maybe not up to it. Now, they're bringing upgrades. McLaren's bringing upgrades. Everybody's bringing something to this race. I hope that actually is an impact. I would like to see Max, clap back a little bit, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. When we're not racing here in Texas, it is a Texas takeover because F1's not the only show in town, about 12 miles that direction.
You don't know where it is. I have no clue. I don't know where it is. That way.
In the background, where you can see the little skyscrapers back there, is Georgia, Texas. And all I need to know from you, Dalen, is how bad are my dogs gonna beat Texas?
They are 4.5-point underdogs, and let's just say I would probably lay the number if I could indulge myself in Texas. Oh wow! Can I leave on that note?
Yeah.
I think I want to leave on that note.
Yeah, it's not great.
I think it's going to be a good game. I think that Texas, we'll talk more about it, but the battle is in the line of scrimmage, I think it's going to determine this game. And Texas can fight with the dogs, which in years past, that's where they had their advantage on damn near everybody.
Exactly. And I think that's, like, for us Bulldog fans, is what's been so uncharacteristic, is that the things that are sort of tried and true at Georgia, I mean, even when we couldn't win a championship, since the 80s, it's like Georgia and running back, synonymous. Their running game, fantastic. That's not been the case this year. You can always depend on their defensive front. That's not necessarily been the case this year. Their secondary's taken some blows. And then it feels like at times Carson Beck is playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And so they're getting off to incredibly slow starts, I think, which is the most concerning part to me, Dalen. We ran this stat on SportsCenter the other day. Georgia has, away from Sanford Stadium, has 3 touchdowns total in the first half of games. That's 3 games. Texas, fortunately, has had some slow starts as well, but like that's not going to hold up here. No. Not in a tough environment, not against arguably, maybe inarguably, the most loaded and complete team in college football right now. I'm hoping that whatever the hell they channeled in that comeback from Alabama, that second 30 minutes against Alabama, they're going to need to do that here, where they were just playing loose, where they opened up the playbook. Like, that is the Georgia that I want to see. It's not a Georgia that we saw last week or the week before.
The thing with Carson Beck that I find fascinating, this is any sport, though, as soon as your head gets in the way, you got a problem. And his confidence, he feels like he's patting, he's holding it at times. Like, he's not a confident quarterback to just step in there, feeling his drop and letting it go. And that's a problem, because if you're going on the road, you got to be confident in what you're able to do and confident in your guys. And yes, the weapons are not as loaded as they were last year. You lose guys to the NFL, that's what happens. But they've got to be able to reload. He's got to be confident, and I would like them to come out and play with kind of a nothing-to-lose attitude, because this isn't the same pressure that's been in years past, the 12-team playoff. If they lose this game,
they can still make it.
They're still not done. Like you lose to Alabama on Alabama's field, you lose to Texas on Texas's field. You're not out of this thing by any stretch of the imagination. Like,
no
ACC's got questions,
error,
Big 12's got questions everywhere.
Sure.
So all those things factor. It's not a vacuum about just your record. Who'd you play? Who'd you beat? And then what did other teams do? I think all that's going to factor.
I don't think there's any more room for error after this, though. If they lose this game, they can't lose at Ole Miss or at Tennessee.
They do have the toughest schedule in the country.
They have the toughest schedule
outside of Florida,
in the country.
but it's brutal.
apart from other teams in the SEC, because we believed before the season started 4 or 5 SEC teams would make it. Fortunately for them, Texas is the only undefeated out of all of them, so they're all losing. But I still don't see a world where a 3-loss team makes it into the 12-team final, unless, of course, some of the other teams have a collapse as well.
I think they will, because I think when you look at the other conferences, though, obviously Florida State falling off hurts that ACC situation. So you really have a Clemson.
And they're not putting
Miami
Clemson in before Georgia.
After what they did to them, that's a huge win. So you may have an ACC championship win. You throttled that team.
Yeah.
Clemson does play Miami. That's gonna factor at some point too as well. You have all these different things in the Big 12. Every time you think somebody's really good, they lose, or good enough, they lose. So there's a ton of questions. I know Iowa State's doing great. They're in the top 10, but this is why people have won a 12-team playoff got it, because it's going to keep it compelling all year long, and especially have special matchups like this that we didn't have ever before in an SEC game between these two teams.
I will say that's been like the one sort of safety valve for me, and like what's been a tough season is, and I say a tough season.
I'm just saying, come on now. You've won 2 championships the last 3 years.
No, I tweeted the other day, I'm having to come to terms with the fact that we're just not the team that puts up 60 on Auburn anymore. Like, we're not the team that dominates people.
But that's this year in October.
Exactly.
And you gotta, come on.
I understand that. I'm irrational, all right? Let me have this.
Yeah, it's completely irrational.
We've been real winnery for a long time, Dalen. I don't even remember what it was like to be a loser my whole entire life when it came to Georgia. On the sidelines for the Georgia-Texas game is Holly Rowe, but when she's not on that sideline, she's on like numerous sidelines. In fact, let's bring Holly in. I'm going to give our next guest the ultimate compliment in a very Elle Duncan way. Holly Rowe is a mother.
I wondered if we could curse on this.
What? Are you joking, Dalen?
Right,
have you ever heard the show? Of course you can. As my producer stands over there going, no. Yes, we can. They get the beep ready on this show for sure. I say that because
I feel like Frank the Tank in Old School, but go ahead. I'm not going to do it.
I want that on a T-shirt.
This woman works so hard. Like, today is Thursday. This is when we were taping this show. We are here in Austin, of course. Last night, I'm watching Holly Rowe in Minnesota for Game 3 of what was an incredible, maybe one of the most iconic shots, right, that we'll ever see, and we'll get into that. This morning, she is here in F1. She's doing a hot lap. We'll talk about that. She's flying out tonight to go back to Minnesota for Game 4 on Friday. And then what are you doing on Saturday morning?
There's a little football game called Georgia at Texas. So I'm flying right back here to get ready for our big game that night. It's going to be epic. It's an epic weekend. The sports and everything that's happening in Austin, it's epic.
But this is normal for you, I feel. Like I just told you, I saw you at Game 1 of the Liberty Aces series. I think that was Alabama, Georgia the night before.
Yes.
And I said, how did Holly get here? It was like a 3 o'clock tip.
Yes.
How the hell did you get there?
You know what? I actually drove 3 hours from Tuscaloosa to Atlanta, slept for 2 hours, and then flew to New York.
There you go.
See?
But you're getting to watch the best sports that have ever happened in the history of the world. I mean, Georgia-Alabama was one of the most iconic, epic games that we've ever seen with the way that ended. And then I went right to a big, huge playoff game for the WNBA, another epic game in the way that ended. So I'm willing to suffer for good sports is what I'm saying.
What I'm starting to realize is that Holly Rowe means epic games and epic outcomes because she's kind of had her fingerprints all over. Before we get to the W and Georgia, Texas, and all that good stuff, you just did a hot lap.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I saw Lewis Hamilton, so try to act normal and not freak out. He walked right by me.
Okay.
And Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboy, helped me put my helmet on. I guess I had it all wrong, so he sorted out my helmet for me. And then we went 166 miles an hour, and we did 90 on the corners, on the turns. So I think I'm addicted to F1 now.
Here we go. We're getting converts, baby.
Welcome. She won't leave. We asked her to leave. Here she is again, getting another hot lap. So it was incredible.
You've got the adrenaline, like you've got the...
I've never done drugs, but I imagine this might be what it feels like.
What kind of car were you in?
McLaren.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one looked dope. I was watching from up here. I was just taking
the McLaren
notes.
was really good. My driver, Ricardo, was incredible. And, you know, when they say it's all with their hands, like, I'm like, really? Your feet aren't touching anything? And he's like wiggling his feet like this. Like, no, it's all up here. It's just fascinating. Yeah. You know, obviously I've watched the documentary about F1, but this is my first experience actually being here, and it's wild. I went and toured all the paddocks, looked at all the cars. They have these big timers that the mechanics can only work for certain times. There were 15 hours left for them to get ready for the race.
As we just noted, you have no days off, basically. But if the WNBA series ends in 4 games, there is no Sunday game.
Oh.
Would you stay for the race?
Yeah, I actually kept my credential, and I'm going to be sneaking in somewhere for sure if we don't have a Game 5 on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're all hoping that we have a Game 5 on Sunday. Let's unpack what we saw, what you witnessed firsthand last night, and that was a Lynx team. This was, I think, it was so interesting as I'm watching this, Holly. I'm interested to see what you thought. I'm talking to my husband as we're watching this game, and I was like, this series has been so crazy to me, how games 1 and 2 played out. These big leads by the Liberty, the Lynx come back. Obviously, they come back in Game 1. They can't come back in Game 2. And everybody kept saying, oh, the Lynx have to come out and punch him in the mouth. They have to come out and have a fast start, right? Like, Cheryl Reeve has seen that this team is resilient, but how about playing with a lead? And then they come out to a big lead. What, 14 points,
15,
right?
15
points.
point lead, yeah.
And then here come the Liberty. As you're watching, because you have been there for this whole series, how did it sort of model what happened at the Target Center based on what happened in Game 1 at the Barclays?
It was almost like the script got flipped, right? Exact same script, but flipped. The Minnesota Lynx go up by 15, and there was a moment we captured in the huddle, and we have this on video, and Brianna, can we swear on this show?
Yes,
We
of
just
course
did. We
you
just
can.
dropped
Okay, this is a
Yes.
direct quote, Brianna Stewart. We are not losing this game. And we see that in the huddle. She goes on a personal 13-point streak.
Yep.
She scores 13 straight points. I think she ended up with 23 in the second half of that game. And it was really just Stewie saying, we will not be losing here in Minnesota, and they didn't. And then if you look at the last second shot, I'm sure we'll replay it here, Brianna Stewart does her thing, but then Sabrina Ionescu, they draw the play up for her in the huddle. They didn't run the play exactly right. Sabrina, the space she gains, she takes 2 side steps, gets space, and gets the 3 off. And when you look at it, she's almost at the logo.
Yep.
And I said to her, I was like, Sabrina, you hadn't been hitting 3s all night. Why did you think that shot would go in? And she never doubted it. She said, because I am built for this moment. And, in a weird twist, Kobe had his handprints all over that game last night because Kobe famously mentored Sabrina Ionescu. Yep. She trained with him, but so did Nafisa Collier. Her husband, Alex Bazell, ran his Mamba Training Academy in L.A., so Nafisa, in her off days, was training with Kobe 3 days a week on her footwork that we saw displayed so beautifully last night. So I just had this kind of chill with the way the game unfolded last night, thinking, man, Kobe Bryant would be so proud right now the way he has impacted these women, and his legacy is still alive and well in what they are doing on the court. It was really beautiful. It
was beautiful. The shot, too, the one where they had the back angle, you can see when she goes inside out, she created so much space, but for there's 8 people on the planet that's a good shot for. But for her, that's a good look. That's a good look to win the game.
But she always says, and this is a great thing for shooters, and Steph Curry always will say this, if my feet are right, the shot's going in. And her feet got right. She's wearing these iconic Oregon Duck Nikes right now that are her signature Sabrina ones. She started wearing them after Oregon beat Ohio State, so good karma all the way around for the college football world. And you look at that shot, her feet got right, and the shot was true. It was just a really beautiful moment.
What do you think was behind all the emotions?
Because she's been doubted at every turn. If you really think back to when Sabrina was in college, she was getting a lot of attention. I believe she deserved it. She was setting a triple-double every night. She was setting records that still have not been broken, even by Caitlin Clark. And people didn't think it was fair, the attention she was getting. And maybe it wasn't, but her performance warranted it. She gets to the WNBA and gets hurt early, and so she kind of gets off to a start. She gets the cover of 2K. And even though it's because it's the Kobe anniversary and her relationship to him, everyone's like, she doesn't deserve that. Why does she get that? And so she has faced criticism, and you're not good enough for this at every turn. And I looked at her. She looked up into the stands. Her whole family's there. She's got 30 people there. Half of Romania is in the building. And she's looking up at them like, yeah. And it's just because everyone doubts her every step of the way, except for those people in the stands and that kid's heart. And so, I mean, that's for all the haters out there. Yeah. That's for all the haters out there of her just doing her thing.
Do you think, as I remember, this is a college basketball seminar, I believe you were there probably 5 years ago when we were talking about Sabrina, we had a slide, how to say her name properly for the guy. So everybody understood this person is going to be a star. You have to know about her. I believe Rebecca talked about her. Lobo went into it. And it's one of those things that I assume she would be a massive name in the nation. And then globally, as she built, it hasn't seemed to hit that way because of the things you just mentioned. Are we there now? Is it going to be, will she be one of the faces globally as this game continues to grow?
Yeah, I think so. And here's why. Because actually, we were together for this, Elle. Do you remember this moment? Her three-point shooting contest at the WNBA All-Star Game 2 years ago, where she set the all-time three-point record mark. And then she's at the NBA three-point shooting contest going head-to-head against Steph Curry, and dang near beats him. We were together for that, and we were screaming. We were in the bar, like, screaming, like, represent her! Beat his ass! Yeah, we were hype. We were hype. But I think that has put her on a map for a lot of people that didn't know about her game before, like, oh, she can really shoot. Regardless of gender, she can really shoot. And she's up there making Steph sweat. Like, he talked about how nervous he was before that. So I think she's on the map. I think a game winner certainly pushes her further ahead, but what she has to do is close it out with a championship. The first, it would be the first in New York Liberty history. That will really cement the legacy.
Yeah.
I loved the receipts from Twitter of people that were like, Kenny Smith, what was that about? They needed to move the three-point line a little closer so that she could have competed more with Steph. She hit that thing from the logo, but let's be very clear, because there was also a very visceral reaction to some of the tweets. She had the game winner. They won that game because of Stewie. So how do they close this thing? Who, as you just mentioned, went on an absolute tear, willed that team to win. You could say the same thing for Game 2 as well. How do they close things out tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, it's hard because, number one, Minnesota is really good, and they have made this one of the most challenging series. Nafisa Collier has been absolutely breathtaking. The matchup with her and Breanna Stewart is must-watch basketball. So this will be up to the Minnesota Lynx if they can extend the series. But to me, Breanna Stewart just decides they won't lose, and so they don't. She missed a game winner and a free throw that would have won the game in Game 1, and I can just feel from Stewie. She said to me, I want to be great. I want to be in these moments and be the one that hits those shots. So if Stewie decides, they're going to win. That's just pretty much how it's gone. And I think there's a little piece of human nature that thinks, but it would be cool for them to win it at home in front of their fans. Does that mess around? I don't know. I don't know.
That environment is tough to. That's tough to win in the Target Center. So like that is to
they
do
had
it.
20,000 people there.
To do it twice. It's loaded.
Record. Yeah, it's hard. And the Lynx are great.
Yeah.
Courtney Williams is must-watch, and Nafisa's must-watch. One other little injury note, Alana Smith injured her back last night. If they don't have her, that greatly diminishes Minnesota's opportunities because she's their tallest player at 6'4". She's guarding Stewie. She can hit threes. That's a big thing to
It
keep
definitely is. Shout out to Kayla McBride as well, who had a really, a lot is going to be made about her defense on that, Sabrina Ionescu shot, but had a fantastic game and really was their lone source of offense for the first half of that game. I want to ask you something very quickly, Holly, as the wind is blowing. And before we get out of here, a bit of a newsmaker conversation from Angel Reese, who was talking with the Wall Street Journal and doing these interviews and talking about how the WNBA does not pay her bills at this point, right? She pays, I think she shared, I was like, girl is really transparent. I think she said she pays like $8,000 a month for her apartment, which makes sense. That's Chicago.
Because she did the math, because she makes $74,000 from the WNBA, and 8 times 12 is more than that. So
100%. And just how, as someone, again, who's been in this game for so long, has seen so much growth and has celebrated the growth, but how do you receive that when you hear one of the biggest stars in the game say, I'm still doing something that, apart from all of the brand, ambassadorship and all the other business dealings, does not pay me enough to be able to live in the city where I play?
Right. Number one, I have two visceral reactions. My first visceral reaction is the platform is helping you pay your bills.
Yes.
So stop complaining about the platform. The WNBA is great. You're getting a lot of viewership. You're getting a lot of run off of being a WNBA star right now. So maybe respect the platform that you've been given. I think that's important. But she's not wrong that salaries have to go up, and they will in this next collective bargaining agreement. They have the opportunity to opt out of their collective bargaining agreement next year and ask for a higher salary cap and demand more. The WNBA keeps adding games. Next year they'll play 44 games, and guess who doesn't get paid $1 more? The players. So that is on the players to collectively bargain and change that. I do think it's important for Angel. I like that she's transparent. I listened to her podcast. It's phenomenal, by the way. Unapologetically Angel. If you haven't listened to it,
it is.
It is fantastic. But I also think it's important to respect what a lot of women have done before you and respect the platform, because if you're not playing in the WNBA, you're not getting all these other deals, probably. So I'd love for the young generation to be respectful, but also continue to grow their brand. I think there's a way to do both.
Yeah.
I want to ask just one more question about the CBA, because they can opt out, I think, on November 1st.
Yes.
And Stewie's the vice president of the PA, so obviously she's focused on some other things right now too. But is there a reason they wouldn't opt out? Because it seems like Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, everybody understands the momentum here and how this thing is growing. Career year, everything's growing in the right direction. You can't have a work stoppage. So it seems like they're going to opt out. But is there any negative to opting out? Would the league actually, would we find any time of shutdown, I guess is my question, if they do?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we would see that. I think that the women are too smart and the sides have always worked very well together. But I do think it's important for them to get more money because the TV deal's richer.
Yeah.
The sponsorships are richer. Kathy Engelbert has brought in a lot of money. As commissioner, she's done a phenomenal job on the business side of bringing in more sponsors and doing a capital fundraise. I know they're going to say, but we lost a lot of money. You know, the pandemic year was tough. It's been hard to make money as they go, but the financial model of the WNBA and women's sports is changing. I think the CBA's got to change with that. They need a higher salary cap, and they need to get paid for more games. If the schedule's going to expand, they need to get paid more. And the market has changed.
Yep.
More brands want to be involved. TV rights are so much more profitable. So I think it's probably healthy that they go to the table and have a different conversation.
The TV rights went from $50 million a year to $200 million a year, I think, next year. So like it's that alone. I mean, come on.
100%.
The purse has changed.
Absolutely.
The purse has changed.
It's Gucci now. You know, maybe
We
it was,
love that. It was
maybe it was-
Fucci before. Yes, they were getting it off Canal
Some other-
Street.
There
Now
we
they're
go.
going
Now we're
straight
stepping
to
up.
Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, Canal Street to Fifth Avenue.
Fifth Avenue. We
That's
love
the
that.
CBA in one sentence.
There we go.
And honestly, you would know because you are literally our geolocation. Holly Rowe in this place just for but a brief moment, and she'll be on her way. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having
amongst
me.
your many stops.
Thanks for having me.
And
I
also,
mean,
go
if
Dogs.
you need me to drive any more hot laps, I feel like I'm now an
ready
F1
to go.
expert, so
Yeah.
please feel free.
Love it.
Ask me anything.
We love it.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Holly. You think Holly Rowe has an airport kink?
What? I don't
You
even.
think- you
Can
think
you want
this
to finish that? Oh, what?
You think there's just like a thing, like a little thing she has like at airports? She spends so much time at them. You think there's like something that she enjoys, or she must have a boyfriend at TSA?
Like she goes and sits in the massage chairs, like those ones?
Oh my gosh,
Is that what
yes.
you're talking about?
Yeah. Do you think Holly Rowe is the person that gets her shoes shined? Because I'm always wondering who are these people.
Yo, I got this is real.
Okay.
Richmond Airport. I'm coming back from doing some game, probably at VCU. Anyway, it was like 7 years ago. I had an hour till my flight was taken off. There's nothing at that airport. There's no club. And my shoes, this is back when we used to wear real shoes with suits.
Yeah.
This is probably 10 years ago.
Yeah. You
so
got your Cole Haans on.
That might have been an upgrade at the time. Probably was. But I sit down to have my shoes. They're like this guy doing my shoes. And he's an old dude, man. We're talking. He's really nice. I look at it, and they're brown shoes. And I'm like, is he putting black shoe polish on there? And I said, I'm like, yo, man, what are you doing? He said, no. It's just how it comes out. You'll see. So then somebody calls me. I'm on the phone, not paying attention. I get done. I'm like, oh, I got to go. I look down. Shoes are black. Like just terrible
Painted your
stuff.
shoe.
And he was 80 years old. He was an old man. And he's just like, sir, what the hell am I going to do with this? Like, I'm supposed to pay. He's like, I'm so sorry. My eyes are going. I'm like, I told you there was black in the middle of it. So I'm trying not to yell at this poor man. But then I walked to the plane like a complete hobo. And then I had to throw those shoes away. So
Leaving like little trails of black paint everywhere you go.
So there you go. Yeah, I got my shoe shines in the airport and learned my lesson.
I was gonna say, well, that's what you get.
And I don't know you don't wear real shoes anymore, so that's great.
Now, when I ask the question, inevitably when I walk by those chairs now, I'm going to be like, who's the kind of person that gets their shoe shine at the airport? Dalen Cuff is
This
the kind
loser.
of guy
There
who
you
gets
go.
the shoe shine at the airport.
Also, at 28 years old. What are you doing?
Right. You would shoe polish. What?
What was I doing?
You're supposed to ride those things till they scuff up and then toss them. I mean,
to-
that's the
who knows what I was
sustainable
trying
thing
to
to
do
do.
then.
All right. So, of course, we're here in Austin. And I think one of the perks always when it comes to these big events is big celebrities. And there is someone who is my spirit animal. Okay? Because not only are we both from Atlanta, but we both are musicians. One of us might have had a little bit more success than the
Just
other.
a slight bit.
Although, have you heard the Bijan bounce? It's a hit. But here, hanging out at Formula One here at the circuit, and then, of course, going to be hanging out on Saturday at the Georgia-Texas game, the most, I would say, notable Georgia fan, celebrity fan.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, right now, absolutely.
100%.
I can't say historically. There have been some big names that like the Bulldogs. This is a different animal.
Yeah. Well, let's stop teasing the people and let's bring them out. Ooh, look who just popped up. I get to dance with my dogs in the daytime, quite literally.
What's happening?
Cueva Honcho, what's up,
How you
friend?
doing? How you doing? I'm
How you
good.
doing?
I'm good.
I mean, you're in Austin, Texas. You get a little Formula One. We're going to talk about the dogs, but you also you kind of frequent the F1 circuit. Why?
Yeah, my first time was a year ago when they first came down to Miami, and the atmosphere was crazy. Of course, it was the bougie vibes, bad and bougie vibes, had all the stars coming out, and I just enjoyed it, you know, and just seeing it for the first time in the flesh and like seeing the cars go by. You never know like how it looks until you know there personally. So I'm excited and I love it, and now I'm addicted to it.
Right, you just did a hot lap too.
I was like, you just did the hot lap. How was that?
Yeah, I just came from the hot lap. You know, they had Huncho on the hot lap, so I'm into fast cars. I got a lot of super fast cars myself. So.
What were you driving? What were you in?
I was in an Aston Martin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chill, just cool.
Yeah.
How fast were you going?
I think we did like 180, 170 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quavo, you are a noted dog fan. I am a noted dog fan.
Yes.
I bark like an asshole on the desk all day, every day. I'm always caping for my team. Quavo, you were there a few weeks ago at the Alabama game.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through the emotions, because I said it on this very podcast. I started out hopeful. I was at a party. I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to have me a drink. Like, I'm going to watch my dogs. By halftime, I was so drunk, I passed out.
Yeah.
And my husband woke me.
You didn't check out. You literally passed out.
No, I literally didn't. I like put myself to sleep, and then my husband woke me up at midnight after the game was over and was like, y'all literally had the lead in that game. Walk me through your emotions as you were watching that in Tuscaloosa.
It was crazy, first of all. The energy, the first half was straight flat. It was like only one or two guys on the sideline trying to keep encouraging the guys. And then it's a clip of me like saying, like,
hyping them up?
Hyping everybody up, saying stay locked in when we down. Like, what, 20-something to 3?
28 to 3.
Yeah, 28 to 3.
Something like that, yeah.
So I started thinking what Brady did to us in Atlanta.
Yeah.
and instantly go to the locker room during halftime and just told them stay locked in, stay focused, man, and hopefully we can come back and pull it off. Unfortunately, we came short, but we still made it a game.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we got a chip on our shoulder now, so I think we're here to do some stealing and going back to Athens, take it back.
I got to make this observation. This is a real fan.
Yeah.
And not only locker room, but like stuck it out, happy they got back in the game. You went to bed.
I did.
I'm gonna really question your
forced
fandom right
myself.
now. That's not good. That's what are you doing?
I mean, as you know, Quavo, like of all the games to lose, like you can't lose to Alabama, and in particular in my mind, there's no shame in losing to Nick Saban. He's the greatest, one of the greatest coaches of all time until Kirby comes for his crown. But man, it just felt like this was the time, of all the time to exercise those demons. And again, like people want to look past the national championship, like we didn't beat them on the biggest of stages, and we did. But it wasn't great. However, I love so much that you are so ingrained in this team. You're giving halftime speeches, Quavo?
You're in the locker room, halftime hype up.
I'm doing whatever I can to get my dogs on top, man. We need to win. We need to win.
Did Kirby call you in? Kirby's like, yo, we need you.
We need Quavo.
Not at all. Kirby was doing his own thing, making sure he do the homework so we can come back. But yeah, it was tough. That's the first time I seen them lose. Every time I'm on the sideline, we come out with a dub. So it's a bit different. We took an L. It's okay. We'll be back.
All right. Well, this game this week, you guys are underdogs. Again, they were underdogs in Alabama, slightly. Underdogs here on the road to Texas. What are your thoughts of this game?
I think we pull it off.
Okay.
I think we get
Why?
Get the job done.
Give me the matchup. You're in it. You know the guys. You know the deal. What's the deal?
I just think we got a chip on our shoulder. We haven't played like top tier football yet. I still feel like we haven't showed our full potential, especially defense on the front line, and then in the secondary. We just got a lot of things to clean up, and we still pulling out games and we still winning. So at the same time, it's like we got a point to prove that we can play good, clean, straight up 5-star football.
You're around this team a lot more than any of us are. Your observations comparing this team to the teams in the past that have won the championships, like how do they match up in terms of personality? Do they got dogs on that team, which of course you know is integral to winning?
It's a couple dogs on the team.
Yeah.
You got Michael Williams, number 13, coming off. Malachi Stark's still good, but like I just said, like the potential of play. Like, I feel like we've been playing to the level of our competition. Like even with Kentucky, we played kind of sluggish and slow. So I just think like we just got to just elevate our skills. Of course, we got some dogs. It's the dogs. You know? So
by nature,
I just think,
redundant.
It's time for them just to max it all the way out. Go 100%.
Carson Beck's had a little bit of a tough go. Will he have? You think he's gonna have a breakout game against the Texas team that's got a legit D?
This the time we need him right now. Them NIL checks kicking in, so we need to make sure we doing good and smelling like money, looking like money, and playing like money.
All of that. Talk to us, Quavo, about like musically what you're doing right now and how we can continue to support. I love the Lenny. By the way, speaking of checks, how many checks you get? We run that damn you and Lenny Kravitz song about 1,100 times.
Yeah,
I hope you're getting all them checks, Quavo.
That's a big one. They coming in.
No question. They're coming in. I got it.
Yeah, it's on the way. Of course, the song with Lenny Kravitz is going crazy. We did VMAs and it was a great look. A legend, by the way, and like you said, it's going crazy on every sports channel. Tough is a song that I have out right now, and I'm working on a special record. It's called Georgia Ways, and this the T-shirt right now that I'm rocking. And I say here first, it got some good guys on it, like Luke Bryan and Teddy Swim. So this one gonna be big.
I was gonna say I've been noticing, especially lately, or at least over the last few years, but how like different some of the collaborations that you've been doing are, right? You have a song with Liam Payne, who of course we know tragically died the other day, but also with Lenny Kravitz, and now you're dabbing in and dipping into the country. How do you sort of like figure out where you want to go musically when you've been doing it for so long?
Versatility. You know, I don't ever try to put myself in one box. I always try to challenge myself, and you know, sometimes things get like to a point to where you feel like you just stand at certain, like it don't get boring, but it just get like, I don't know the word,
stagnant,
repetitive and stagnant, and you just want to step outside the box. And I think like challenging myself to do country or challenging myself to do a song with like Lana Del Rey and then go back and do a song with Lenny Kravitz is just showing my range, you know.
When that happens, are you reaching out to them? They reach out to you? How to take us into the connection there?
A lot of it come organically, man.
Yeah.
I was honoring Lenny Kravitz, and they chose the song Fly, and I was nervous as hell to perform his record in front of him. And then after I did it, they was like, yo, you should recut this right now. This record is yours. It's crazy. And I got the blessing to do it from Lenny. But I want to say Lana was a big fan of Migos, and after everything happened with my brother Take, I just reached out and was like, I think we should do a record. And then that's how Tough came about. And then with Fly dropping, Teddy Swims hit me and was like, yo, that's crazy. It's going crazy. Fly is crazy. You're a rock star, this and that and the third. I'm like, you love Georgia. And then shout out to Josh Brooks, the athletic director. He was like, yo, I got Teddy. And he linked us up, and that's how we did that. And then, of course, Luke Bryan, the OG. I needed somebody to just stamp the whole presence, and this record is going to be massive.
Nice.
Before you get out of here, because I know you're very busy, I mean, obviously you're a noted Georgia fan, but also you go for your Falcons too. What you think? What you think about Kirko Banks? What you think about Kirko?
Yeah, man, we call him Kirk Frost down that way. You know what I'm saying? Swag serve Kirk. You know what I'm saying? He doing this thing. They doing their thing right now.
Well, they did lose to the Steelers. Just going to toss that out there for the Pittsburgh boys.
Well,
just saying. I mean, that's how it started the season with a dub.
That was before. You feel like, okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who's gonna win a championship first, the Falcons or Georgia? Another one.
Whew, that one tough. I like Georgia. I like Georgia going to go get another one.
I think that's completely
I think
fair.
it's a good bet. That's a good bet because they always do.
I think the bar for the Falcons is make the playoffs.
Our dream goal is to do 2028. Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Right? You got the whole plan.
You got it circled.
Us performing halftime.
There we go.
Correct.
Kirk playing. That's our dream.
By the time that happens, though, can you teach him how to swag surf? Because, like, Kirk's really up here with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, it's
a little stiff.
We got to give him some sauce. Up top is a little stiff.
It's a little bit stiff. How do you feel when you... It's funny because, you know, I was even just at the Barclays working the Liberty Lynx game for the WNBA Finals, and they're swag surfing, and
it's in every building. Every college does it. Like, it's almost in every building I go to.
Here's the thing, Dalen. It's not the same as when you swag surf in Atlanta, and I just wonder, do you also feel that way when you watch it? You're like, it's
swag surf is a massive record, period, for the world. But most importantly for the city of Atlanta, we always make records. Everybody always from Atlanta always make records that go for a long time.
Yes.
They always good energy records. So it's always about giving some to the folks like that. So shout out to Fly for that record. That's a big one.
Fire.
But actually, before we let you go, you were addicted to F1. Who do you
like
support? Who do you like? Who do you want to see win the race on Sunday? Lewis?
And I just met the guy who took me on a hot lap. His name was Alonso.
Oh, Fernando. You had Fernando. Yeah, he's won the world championship twice.
Yeah. He went crazy. And then Red Bull just let me go through all their garages and see how it's get done. So I'm just learning right now. So I'm still like when I say I'm addicted, so I'm like I like the atmosphere. I like the fast cars driving by. So it gives you crazy like an adrenaline rush. It's like that you don't even have to be in the car to understand.
Are you going to go to Vegas next month, you think?
Hope so. So.
That's a scene too.
Yeah,
I can recommend that one. That was something else.
That's a pretty flex too.
Yeah.
Well, this was the ultimate flex, getting to have Quavo, Honcho, on the show. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hey, man,
Thank you.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. We're going to win.
Sickle.
Let's get it.
Appreciate you, Quavo. I don't know if that was common knowledge that Quavo is the one giving the halftime speeches.
Dude, I was taken back by that. I was like, you were in the locker room at halftime? That and you falling asleep. Come on.
I love it.
I'm really disappointed in you falling asleep at halftime. I don't care if you were completely drunk. I don't. It doesn't matter. Come back.
I also, though, like, let me tell you this. It doesn't make it better necessarily, but I'm also one of those people, like, I do a lot of, like, reverse psychology. Like, I'm one of those fans that's like, I have convinced myself that the more I bad talk my team, the better they play.
So you're not watching their improvement. They improve. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
It's like I'm watching the game.
Yeah.
They're sucking.
Let me change something. So you have control over what happens with Kirby's team. That's
100%. I literally control what happens. I stopped watching what happens. They stage this comeback.
So you're not watching on Saturday night then, apparently.
No, I will be. I'll be.
Oh,
on the
okay.
field.
Well, then
I will tell you.
Then chalk up the L. Put your money on Texas, apparently.
I will bail. I will bail so quick if they start losing. I won't. I'm a horrible fan. I understand that. I recognize that I ride this weird wave. I get it from my mom. I tape every single game so that if they do complete that comeback, I'm going to watch it 6 or 7 times. My husband knows. He'll be like, are you watching this game again?
Wait, you watch
4
multiple
days later?
times?
Yes.
Wow.
I will watch it over and over. Once I know the outcome.
He's shaking his head. That is okay. Now your fandom is concerning. That's unstable.
Once I know the outcome.
Are you watching the all 22? Are you breaking down routes? What are you doing?
I just want to I want to revel. I want to look at all of the confidence of the other team, knowing what's going to happen. I like knowing what's going to happen. It's not good for my nerves to not know what's going to happen.
Wow. Okay, that is an interesting way to watch your team.
My mom is the same way. After our Broncos, because I'm also a Broncos fan. Yeah, my whole family's from Denver.
Okay.
And after they finally won the Super Bowl, I promise you, for years, I would just randomly call my mom and be like, what are you up to? She'd be like, just watching the Super Bowl from 97. It was so rando. But that's
watching Elway helicopter into the end zone again.
100%. Oh, man. This one's for John.
All right.
Oh, man. So certainly we're hoping for a great result there. Also hoping for a great result here at F1. Give me your prediction because we're about to bring Will Buxton, the face of Drive to Survive.
Face of F1. He's
the face of F1.
He's the guy.
He's the guy. We're about to bring him up here, but I want to get sort of your prediction. We talked a little bit about how it's great, the parity that we've been seeing of late. Is this the time that you think that Max can turn it around, or do you think this is Lando's to lose?
I think this is like the Alamo, being in Texas. You got to turn it around right now, or I think over the next 6 weeks, after this, the next 5 races, you'll see Lando just take control here. So they're bringing these upgrades for Red Bull. Hopefully that helps the car get better. I want to see Max have a rebound. This is the best track out of the 3 in America. Granted, the Vegas race was awesome. Miami's tough to race on. This track, the drivers love this track. Opportunities to overtake. It'll be a lot of fun. I think Max wins. I think Lando finishes second. I think Piastri's an interesting wild card. I keep feeling like taking him out, but I said it yesterday on Unlapped, so I'm going to stick with it. Charles Leclerc will be third from Ferrari because I think Ferrari's kind of being forgotten about in a lot of conversations. Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, or Red Bull. Any one of those 4 teams, and really outside of Sergio Perez, unfortunately, the other Red Bull driver, any 7 of those drivers I think could win it. And I think that's what makes this race is going to be totally compelling. Qualifying's great. There's only 1 practice session, and then the sprint race, and then you have the qualifying for the Grand Prix. So there's not a lot of time to figure it out. It's been a 4-week break. There's no time to figure out what do these new upgrades in car look like. So this is an interesting wild card situation, but I think Max will pull it out and make this thing actually not make it more interesting, make it less interesting down the stretch.
Sure.
This is his time to turn back.
Wow. By the way, shout out to Dalen. 40 minutes or so into the show before we had our first The Alamo reference. This man can do history. He can do basketball. He can do football.
I was a
What
history
can't he
major.
do?
There you go.
You were a history major.
There you go. Yeah.
What did you want to do with that?
I wanted to play basketball in college and do something that I found interesting. And then I was told
easy.
I was told that I would meet the right people and I could go find a job afterwards. It worked out.
As a history major?
Yeah, well, as a history major, just to meet somebody.
Yeah.
Hello, sir, what is your name?
Yeah.
I didn't do that quite well enough in college because I was too stupid, but maybe the first year or two after that worked on it.
I think that's actually really smart because I saw this thing the other day that is so funny to me and very true. It's like when you hit middle age as a man, you either go towards history or meat. And you either become a smoked meat person or a history person. And so I think the ability to appeal, like my dad is a history person, you know. My husband has sort of turned his way to smoked meats. He's a smoker guy. He's like, from here on out, any gift you give me can involve the smoker. And so I think that's like a great plug. There you go, kids. If you want to get into broadcasting, really just get into history so you can appeal to the olds on that level.
The olds. And you literally have no applicable use for that at all outside of being 22 years old. Good luck with that.
Good luck with that. All right, we're going to bring up our final guest of the day. Your guy. You're pretty excited about this guy.
Let's talk to Will.
Let's talk to Will Buxton. The face of F1, Will Buxton, is here. And I have to say, Will, please share with the good folks on the Elle Duncan Show what you just said about the cuisine of our great nation here in America.
Oh, you literally throwing me under the bus. First
I love
question.
It. That's
Thank you so much. Everything tastes like butter.
Because it's usually slathered in butter. That's a real thing.
But lettuce?
Yeah.
Weird. No, I love it. Honestly, I love being back in Austin. This place is so great. We've been coming here for what feels like forever now. And it's just embraced this sport. And we were just discussing, you know, the fact that this sort of vista behind us, when it's full of people, it's one of the most electrifying views in the entire season of Formula One. It's just such a home for the sport here in Austin, Texas. It's great to be here.
I wanted to ask you, Will, about the identities of the three races here in America. I've been to Miami, and this is my first time here in Austin. I've never been to Vegas, but like how much do they sort of model the cities themselves, and what's your sort of preference? What do you like about them?
The wonderful thing about Formula One is that every venue is completely unique. So Silverstone is different to Singapore, Monaco is different to Miami, you know, and I think this one, because this was the first time that Formula One had a proper home in America. Like a lot of people probably don't realize that Formula One has been at more locations in America than any other country on earth. But this was the first time it really had somewhere that felt like home and really established proper roots. And I think a lot of the success of Formula One in America, you know, really had its foundation here when we came to Austin, Texas. So this is kind of like your traditional fan-based Grand Prix. Miami, I see so much business being done in Miami every year now.
Yeah.
It's a lot of B2B deals being done. It's like it's a great fun event, but that kind of feels like that's sort of the level that Miami is. And then Vegas is Vegas. Oh my goodness. I never thought in my life we would see Formula One cars racing down the strip. I don't think anyone was prepared for just how visceral and thrilling it was to actually see them there. And what we got was an incredible race. Again, no one was expecting the race to be as good as it was. It's probably one of the best races last year. So each race has its own unique identity, which I think you're right. It does completely reflect the essence of the city that we race in. So Vegas is big, it's brash, it's loud, it's colorful, everything happens at night. It's a great event.
The expectations of Vegas were so high, and that's not surprising. But it actually kind of meant the expectations there. Like I remember playing the F1 simulator, like the game before, and be like, this is going to be insane. I can't believe we're going to be going down the strip. And when you saw it, and then you saw the race play out, it was everything you could have built up in your mind. But if you were telling like new American fans that are, because they keep getting into it more and more, and particularly through Drive Survive, and then you get connected to the racers, and I got to shout out this Chris Patola and his family works for ESPN. They every Sunday morning, every race morning, it's a family affair. They cook breakfast, they watch the races. One likes Max, one likes Lando, Dad likes George. They all got their person, they all got their shirts on. It's a very Americanized way to watch the event. But where should fans want to go? Is it here? Is this the race of the people? What is the best entry and the best viewing in terms of the race that you could see?
Every single place is different. Yeah. You know, you have incredible vantage points in Miami. You have incredible vantage points here in Austin. You go to Vegas and you have that entire city backdrop and the car. I mean, it's a wild street track.
How do you think this drought for Max Verstappen is actually helping F1? in some ways.
Yeah, no, I think massively. He's not won since the Spanish Grand Prix. Yeah. I can't even remember when the Spanish Grand Prix was. It feels so long ago now. Listen, you just want to see a competitive year, right? You want to see a competitive championship. Formula One, though, I think is quite unique in that when we watched Max Verstappen go on that tear last year and set or break records that had stood for decades, and commit to what was last year the most dominant performance we'd ever seen from a team in Formula One history, there's an appreciation that you can have in that for the perfection, the level that it requires to turn up every weekend, take on the many thousands of people that work at every single team, the other 19 best drivers in the world, and to consistently outperform them every weekend. You can appreciate that. But you also want to see competition and you want to see the rise. And what I love about this year is the fact that when we started last season, 2023, McLaren was slowest in Formula One. They were plumb last. The car wasn't reliable, and when it was running, it was slow. They now lead the team's championship. And it just shows the work that they've done in 18 months to turn that around. They lead the Constructors' Championship. Lando Norris has a shot at beating Max Verstappen for the Drivers' Championship. And all this from a team which 18 months ago was last. It's amazing.
Yeah. Will, lastly, before we let you go, I did a hot lap with Max earlier,
cool.
And it was really awesome. My stomach is still recovering.
Yeah, it takes a while, right?
It's still recovering a little bit, and that's fine. I poked the bear, and he obliged.
Yeah. Don't talk shit to the 2-time, 3-time world.
Yeah. Go crazy. He was like, say less.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I did. I don't know what I was thinking. But I find that, again, you guys go to some of the most unique and exotic places in the world, and I wonder, like, when you come to a place like this, when you come to Texas, what's like something, do you have a ritual or a thing that you like to see or do? How much advantage do you take of geographically where the races are?
You try to as much as you can, but you always have to remember it's vocation, not vacation. But, you know, if anyone was out in Austin on Wednesday night, they will have seen about 3/4 of the F1 paddock in Pete's Dueling Piano Bar, because that's always been a favorite
Nice.
from year one. But, you know, everyone likes to get out for some good barbecue. Everyone likes to get a good bit of live music in Austin, because that's what the city's all about. You know, it's why it's on the map. So you try to take advantage of those things that make the cities and the countries that you go to unique, because we're incredibly privileged to get to travel the world, you know, and chase these incredible drivers around and report on what they do and share in the majesty of everything that is Formula One. But yeah, to get to experience these cities, these countries, it's a real unique pleasure.
I'm going to geek out for a second here.
Please,
we got to dive into the race here. It's been 4 weeks since we've seen any action.
Right.
You walked up, he goes, they really resurfaced this track.
Yeah.
We're like 90 yards away. He's right on. He's like, it's going to hold heat. So we're talking about temperature changes and all these things right now. A lot of teams are bringing upgrades. What do you think this race is going to be like? We have a sprint race. We only have one practice session. There's all these variables. What do you think we're going to see in this weekend? And then I'm going to get your predictions at the end here. But what do you want to see in this weekend?
Well, this is the wonderful thing. Because it's a sprint weekend, one practice session. So they've brought so many upgrades. So many teams have brought upgrades for the remainder of the season. They've got 1 hour to put it on the car and see if it's actually going to work. Do we want to continue with this thing for the rest of the weekend? Is it giving us what data we thought it was going to give us? Or actually, do we have to take it off and revert back to something we last raced a couple of months ago? That is question number one. Then you roll straight into sprint qualifying, the sprint race, main qualifying, and the Grand Prix itself. And from that point on, it's competition. It is absolutely eyes forward, full focus competition. There's more points on the line. We have a championship that's split by 52 points. There's 34 up for grabs this weekend if you win both the sprint race and the Grand Prix and you get the fastest lap. We're going to start seeing twists and turns in this championship season. We've got 6 races left. Half of them are sprint weekends. I'd say it's game on for the Drivers' World Championship. And to start it here in Austin, Texas on a sprint weekend where there's no time to practice, it's going to be a great way to start the weekend.
Max is still a slight favorite by most books to win the Drivers' Championship. Do you agree with that?
So I've been saying for months that I think Lando has a really good shot at this, but this is Max Verstappen. This is, you know, the dominant force of modern Formula One, somebody who's been able to...
This is your chauffeur.
Your chauffeur today. Someone who's been able to come to terms with the modern era of car, better even than the greatest of all time, Sir Lewis Hamilton, who has really been ill at ease with these cars since they changed the regulations a few years ago, but they've just played to Max's strengths, or he's been able to draw something really special out of them. But Max has never had the pressure of somebody biting at his heels in the Formula One World Championship. 2022, it was pretty easy for him. 2023, it was a whitewash. 2024, they're coming for him. So is it easier to lead or is it easier to chase? And that's the ultimate sporting question. You know, do you want to be the guy with the target on your back, or do you want to be the guy who has that fella ahead of you in your crosshairs? Like, that is what we're coming into. How much pressure will Lando be able to put Max under? How much will Max be able to absorb? It's the great unknown, because these two have never fought each other for a world championship.
Will, thank you so much for spending some time with us here. Can't wait to see the races, and we appreciate you. Come back anytime.
I would love to. Thank you.
We'll offer you a fruit plate with just a bowl of sugar next to it.
Exactly.
Nice.
And this
American
green juice
way.
just got loaded with
The
sugar.
American way.
Perfect.
Have you had one of those 64-ounce porterhouses yet?
No, I'm saving myself for Sunday night.
Okay.
I think I'd have to check myself in as excess luggage. though.
Correct, yeah.
Roll you out in a
Food
gurney.
coma.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
Appreciate you, Will.
Thank you.
Can I be honest with you? One of my biggest character flaws, and it took a lot of restraint on my behalf, thank you again to Will for coming by, is that if I hear someone with an accent, I just start doing their accent. There were
Thank
so
God
many
you didn't
times
do
I
that.
wanted to be like, Will, who do you think is going to get on the podium?
Well, you should walk down to that paddock. We got a lot of different
What do you
accents down
think?
there.
I
Go ahead.
know. It's like, it's really, and so it took a lot of restraint, and I just want to applaud myself. I want to hug myself.
You're a real grown-up. Let's hug your pillow for a second. Congratulate yourself. I'm
Well
really proud of you.
done.
I actually
Good
wish you
for
would have done that, because I would have just been like, what in the hell
No,
just
yeah,
happened
you would have
here?
been like, what the is happening? That's how I knew I wanted to marry my husband. Like one of our first dates, I just started talking in the Russian accent. And
then
he
what-
like didn't flinch. He was like, "You're weird," and I'm into it. So I was like, "I love you too. You're great."
I think you'd say if he responded in his own accent, then I'd be
No,
like,
his
that's
accents
too
are
much weird
horrible.
for one
No,
table.
he can't do it. No,
Okay.
we ban his accents. They're not great. Although he doesn't mean Atlanta. This was a fun show, Dalen. Thank you.
I enjoyed being here. Thank you. Are you familiar with Wally Pipp?
Yes.
Is Gary?
Yes.
Stay ready, Gary. You might be Wally Pipp's
Also known
friend.
as Drew Bledsoe. Hey, Tom Brady is
There
his
you go.
favorite. Yeah.
There you go. I can
You
be
know what?
Brady. You can be Bledsoe. There
Let's
we go.
put Dalen's name on the graphic right now.
There we go. Give me a new pillow.
Just write it in with a marker.
I wish I could.
Very quickly, putting you on the spot because you put Will on the spot. Who you got winning the race?
I think Max wins. I think Max, Lando, and I'm going to go Leclerc.
And who do you
Sure.
got winning the Georgia-Texas game?
I think Texas wins at home. Tough break. I don't know if they cover, though. That's my real issue here. But
Oh, that's your real issue?
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Fair. All right.
I have
and
no
lastly-
dog in the fight unless my money.
Well, I do have a dog in the fight, literally.
Literally.
And I need my dogs to come through. And lastly, Lynx, Liberty, Game 4. Who you got?
I think we're going Game 5. I think Liberty wins at home in Brooklyn, Sunday night, 8 o'clock, ABC. We do some more promotions. There
all
you go.
that.
That's be a fun Sunday.
100%.
We're running right from this into that in Game 5.
Incredible.
I think it's going to happen.
I'm with you. I think that this series is going to go back to New York. I think that the Lynx are not going to. It's very hard to beat a team 3 times in a row.
Yeah, but
very
also on
hard.
the road again.
On the
that's
road
tough.
again, Target Center's tough. And again, I think in the same way that the Liberty learned from Game 1, their collapse, I think the Lynx will learn from their Game 3 collapse as well. That does it for us for now, but we are going to have so much great content for you all weekend long from here at the Texas Takeover.
Oh, God.
There's a helmet somewhere to prove it. I promise
Get me
you,
outta
by
here.
the end of this thing, I'm going to be talking like this. When I get around Southern people, them dialect
I'm out of
classes
here.
I
We're going
took,
to wrap this thing up. We're
they
done here.
really start showing up. We'll see you guys later on the Elle Duncan Show. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe
Jesus.
because we want you to. Thank you, and we'll see y'all later.